हेलो एवरीवन, कैसे हो आप सब? आई होप यू ऑल आर डूइंग गुड. सो टुडे विल स्टार्ट with the second topic of our anatomy lecture series, that is muscles of mastication. So muscles of mastication, how we will introduce the topic? We will define these two terms. One is the muscle and the other is the mastication. So muscle is an animal tissue which by means of contraction affect the movement of any organ or part of the body. हम सबको पता है मसल एक एनिमल टिश्यू है. देयर आर 4 एनिमल टिश्यूज, राइट? एपिथेलियल, कनेक्टिव, न्यूरल, मस्कुलर. ओके, so muscle is one type of animal tissue which by means of contraction affects or brings about movement in any organ or any part of the body. Second is the mastication. Now what is mastication? Simple शब्दों में, आसान भाषा में, mastication is the process of chewing. Okay, चबाने को बोलते हैं mastication, simple. लेकिन हम एग्जाम में वैसे लिख नहीं सकते, right? So how we will write this? Mastication is a sensory motor activity, means it involves both sensory and motor pathways. So mastication is a sensory motor activity aimed at the preparation of food for swallowing. Okay, it is a complex process involving the activities of facial elevator muscles, suprahyoid muscles and tongue. Okay, so all these structures work together in a synchronized fashion to bring about an effective mastication, right? Third point, what we will write? MOM. MOM is just a shortened form of muscles of mastication. Okay, so MOM moves the mandible during mastication and speech. Okay, the muscles of mastication are broadly divided or classified into two types. First is the primary muscles of mastication and the second is the accessory or secondary muscles of mastication. For your examination purposes, only the primary muscles of mastication will be important and you need to describe them in detail. The secondary muscles of mastication are only for your knowledge purpose, just you need to know the names. You can write them also if you want. Okay, you don't have to explain them, right? So the primary muscles of mastication are, as you can see, masseter, temporalis, medial pterygoid and lateral pterygoid. Okay, we will explain all these 4 muscles individually under 4 subheadings. The subheadings were described in the last video: origin, insertion, nerve supply and action, right? In addition to that, we will also describe the relations, okay, of medial pterygoid and lateral pterygoid. By relation, what we mean? The arteries, the nerves and other structures that are related or present in close proximity to medial pterygoid and lateral pterygoid. Now coming back to the secondary muscles of mastication. The secondary muscles of mastication, as you can see, is further subclassified into 2 parts, that is suprahyoid and infrahyoid. What comes under suprahyoid? Digastric, stylohyoid, mylohyoid, geniohyoid. Similarly, under infrahyoid, we get sternohyoid, thyrohyoid and omohyoid. You just need to note it down. You can write it also or you may leave it also. Okay. Now, one important point is all muscles, no, not all muscles, all the primary muscles of mastication. Okay, all the primary muscles of mastication, primary, I am writing here MOM. Okay, all the primary muscles of mastication are derived from the mesoderm of first branchial arch. Okay, so all the primary muscles of mastication means these 4 are derived from the mesoderm of first branchial arch. Okay, posterior belly of digastric is derived from the second branchial arch. Okay, now we will discuss each of the primary MOM individually. Now let's talk about the first muscle, that is the masseter. Okay, it is a very large elevator muscle. Okay, elevator muscle means which elevates the mandible, means this is the condition. Suppose my mandible is in open condition. Now mandible is elevated or closed by this muscle. Okay, so it is a large elevator muscle. I forgot to write that point. Okay, so masseter, first is the structure that we will describe. Okay, so as you can see, this is the mandible. Okay, this is the zygomatic arch, and this is the zygomatic process of maxilla, right? Zygomatic process of maxilla, zygomatic arch, this is the mandible, that is the condylar process of mandible. So this one, this red one and the orange one is the masseter muscle. Okay, so if we can see from the diagram what all things we can appreciate or we can understand. First is, it is quadrilateral in shape. Okay, so the muscle is quadrilateral in shape. It overlies or covers the lateral surface of mandible or the outer surface of mandible. It is covering the outer surface of mandible. Okay, mandible is inside, the muscle is outside. Okay, it overlies or covers the lateral surface of mandible. Now again, it is divided into two parts. One is the superficial part, and the part that is inside, marked in orange, is the deep part. Okay, so it is divided into two parts, superficial part and deep part. The fibers of the superficial part runs downwards and backwards. This is downwards and backwards. Okay, at 45 degree, roughly 45 degree angle. So superficial part fibers runs downwards and backwards, while deep fibers, the fibers in the deep part, runs vertically downwards. You can see this, the deep fibers run vertically downwards. So this is what you will write in your exams. First you will draw the diagram, and then you will write the first thing that we will write about masseter is the structure of masseter. Okay, a brief description of the structure of masseter. Now, okay everyone, so let's start with the origin of masseter. As you can see in the diagram, the masseter arises from the anterior 2/3 of the zygomatic arch. So this is the zygomatic arch. So anterior 2/3 of the zygomatic arch and the adjoining zygomatic process of maxilla. Now you need to remember that the fibers are arising or originating from the inner surface. See, I haven't marked in the outer surface. So it will be inner surface, it will be inner surface of the anterior 2/3 of zygomatic arch and the zygomatic process of maxilla, right? Insertion, so where the fibers are ending or getting inserted, so they are getting inserted into the lateral surface of the ramus of mandible except the posterior superior part. Okay, so पूरा lateral surface of ramus of mandible में ये insert हो रहा है except the posterior superior part. So if you can remember from the lecture of mandible, the posterior superior part is being occupied by the ligaments of the temporomandibular joint. Okay, so there will be the ligaments of the temporomandibular joint. The rest part, the entire lateral surface of the ramus of mandible, provides insertion to the masseter muscle, right? Next is the innervation or the nerve supply. So nerve supply, so masseter muscle is supplied by masseteric nerve. Very easy to remember, masseter, masseteric. So masseteric nerve, which is in turn a branch of the anterior division of the mandibular nerve. Okay, so mandibular nerve is a branch of the trigeminal nerve. Okay, trigeminal nerve has three branches: ophthalmic, maxillary and mandibular. Okay, so mandibular nerve is giving the anterior division, and from that anterior division there is another branch named as masseteric nerve, right? For now you just need to remember this. We will discuss the entire branching and trigeminal nerve under the heading of trigeminal nerve. That will be a separate long essay, right? Now coming to the action. So what is the action of masseter? What does masseter do? It helps in the elevation of mandible. Okay, as talked in the first part of this lecture, this is an elevator muscle. Okay, so it elevates the mandible. That is, elevating the mandible means closing the mouth. This is, for example, this is the case. So masseter will pull this and it will help in closing the mouth. Okay, right? So main action is elevation of mandible. Also the superficial fibers that help in the protrusion of mandible. Okay, protrusion means moving forward like this one. Okay, so it helps in the protrusion of mandible. Now coming to the second muscle, that is the temporalis. Okay, so temporalis muscle, what you will write, we will start with the structure. It is a fan shaped muscle which is located in the temporal fossa. That will be the first point. Okay. Second point is it is covered by temporal fascia, which is attached above to the temporal line and below to the zygomatic arch. First you note down these 2 points, then we will discuss a little about temporal fossa and temporal fascia so that you can understand the other parts, that is the origin insertion part of temporalis easily, right? Fossa. Temporal fossa is a narrow fan-shaped depression or space on the lateral surface of skull. So if you can see it, if you can feel it also, there is a depressive region, a space on this lateral surface of the skull. This entire region is called as the temporal fossa. Okay. So extent of temporal fossa. Okay. What are the margins of temporal fossa? So if you have studied the various normas of skull, okay, various regions of skull in the first chapter of third volume of BDC, there is one part that is norma verticalis. Okay. So there are 2 lines here. Okay. 2 lines like this. Okay. One, and below that there is another line. Okay. So these are called as superior temporal lines. Okay. Superior temporal line and inferior temporal line. Okay. Inferior temporal line. Superiorly it is bounded by the both pairs of temporal lines, superior temporal line and inferior temporal line. Okay. Anteriorly, zygomatic process of the frontal bone. Okay. Zygomatic process of the frontal bone. Zygomatic process of frontal bone. Okay. Okay. And posteriorly, I can't draw it here. So posteriorly, I'll write it here. Posteriorly, supramastoid crest of temporal bone. Okay. So these are the boundaries of the temporal fossa. Superiorly, that is the superior temporal line and inferior temporal line. Okay. And it is like an arch. It is in the form of an arch. Okay. Anteriorly by the zygomatic process of frontal bone and posteriorly by the supramastoid crest of temporal bone. Basically ये नाम बस याद रखना है. तो ये तीनों रीजन के बीच में जो फोसा या डिप्रेशन फॉर्म हो रहा है lateral surface of skull पे, that is called as the temporal fossa. Okay. Now what we studied just now, temporalis is a fan-shaped muscle which covers the temporal fossa. Covers the temporal fossa मतलब क्या हो गया? Means temporal fossa is on the inside, then temporalis muscle is on the outside of temporal fossa. Okay. Now there is another structure called as temporal fascia. Now what is temporal fascia? Tough fan-shaped fibrous sheet. Fascia means kind of fibrous sheet, connective tissue, a thin sheet of connective tissue. Okay. So tough fan-shaped fibrous sheet that covers the temporalis muscle. See this point? Covers the temporalis muscle and other structures situated superior to the zygomatic arch. This is the zygomatic arch. So temporal fascia is a thin sheet which covers the temporalis muscle and all other structures that are superior to the zygomatic arch. Means temporal fascia is somewhat here. It is covering this entire muscle. Okay. It is a continuation of the epicranial aponeurosis of scalp. Okay. Now we'll understand these 2 points with the help of one simple diagram. Then it will be clear to you. Okay. Zygomatic arch, if we cut this zygomatic arch, okay, and view this entire skull from this aspect, frontal aspect. Okay. So this is the frontal aspect. Okay. For example, this is just a schematic diagram. So this is the scalp. Okay. Now there is this depression over here. Okay. This is the depression over here. Okay. And this orange one is the gallia aponeurotica or epicranial aponeurosis. Okay. Epicranial aponeurosis. This is the third layer of scalp. There are 5 layers of scalp that we'll discuss in scalp topic. So the third layer is epicranial aponeurosis. So you see, this is a continuation of epicranial aponeurosis, and this continuation is only called as temporal fascia. Okay. Now temporal fascia again divides into 2 parts and then it is joined to the zygomatic arch. This is the zygomatic arch. It is a cut section of the zygomatic arch. Okay. and this one is the cut section of mandible. Okay, this is the cut section of mandible. Now what we studied, temporal fossa is a fan shaped depression on the lateral surface of skull. Okay, so this one, this depression, okay, this depression is nothing but the temporal fossa. Okay, now temporalis muscle is a fan shaped muscle that covers the temporal fossa, means temporal fossa is inside, temporalis muscle is somewhat like this. Okay, temporalis muscle is somewhat like this. Okay, this one is temporalis muscle. Okay, red one. So this is temporal fossa, temporalis muscle is covering the temporal fossa, and then temporal fascia is covering the temporalis and other structures superior to the zygomatic arch, means above the zygomatic arch. Now it is clear. So when we open the skull from outside, first we will get the temporal fascia, then after removing the temporal fascia we will get the temporalis muscle, and then after removing the temporalis muscle we will get this temporal fossa. So this one is the temporal fossa, and the fossa below the zygomatic arch is called as the infratemporal fossa. Okay, now I hope it is clear. So once again we will revise with the help of this diagram what are temporal fossa and temporal fascia. So temporal fossa is a fan shaped depression or space on the lateral surface of the skull. Okay, temporalis muscle is a fan shaped muscle which covers or occupies the temporal fossa. Okay, and then temporal fascia is a fibrous sheet which is an extension of the epicranial aponeurosis which covers the temporalis and other structures that are superior to the zygomatic arch. Okay, it is starting from the, what I told, superior and inferior temporal lines. For example, suppose these are here, superior and inferior temporal lines. Okay, and anteriorly it is bounded by the zygomatic process of frontal bone. Posteriorly it is ending in the supramastoid crest of the temporal bone. Okay, so basically this entire structure is covered by temporal fascia. Once we remove the fascia, suppose we are removing this fascia like a page of the book, we will get this entire temporalis muscle. Okay, this is occupying or covering the temporal fossa. Okay, now coming to the origin of temporalis muscle. So it originates from the temporal fossa excluding the zygomatic bone. Okay, you need to remember this. It originates from the temporal fossa excluding the zygomatic bone. Okay, so this is the temporal fossa and this is originating from temporal fossa excluding the zygomatic bone. Zygomatic bone is somewhere near here, so it does not originate from the zygomatic bone and it originates from the rest of the entire temporal fossa. Okay, now exact location on the temporal fossa, superior to the inferior temporal line. मतलब यहाँ दो lines है, right? So the one line is this one, suppose this is the superior temporal line, and the other line is behind this muscle, temporalis muscle. Suppose this is here. Okay, this is inferior temporal line and this is superior temporal line. So the temporal fossa is temporalis is originating from superior to the inferior temporal line. मतलब inferior temporal line के ऊपर से originate कर रहा है, right? So the point is, it originates from the temporal fossa excluding the zygomatic bone. Zygomatic bone is somewhere like this. Okay, excluding the zygomatic bone, superior to the inferior temporal line, and then it also originates from laterally from the surface of the temporal fascia. Okay, laterally from the surface of temporal fascia मतलब temporalis muscle ये है. Okay, under temporal fascia, temporal fossa था, तो it is originating from the temporal fossa also, and outside or the lateral surface में temporal fascia है. तो ये originate कहाँ से हो रहा है? temporal fossa से भी हो रहा है और laterally ये कहाँ से हो रहा है? surface of temporal fascia से भी हो रहा है. Okay, मतलब इसके inside में है temporal fossa, बाहर साइड में temporal fascia, दोनों से ही originate कर रहा है. Okay, now coming to the fibers. Fibers easily आप डायग्राम में देख सकते हो. You can see from the diagram the anterior fibers are running vertically downwards while the more posterior fibers are running horizontally. Okay, next coming to the insertion. See, we have cut the zygomatic arch from both sides. Okay, so that we can visualize the fibers, the passage of all these fibers. Okay, and also we have cut the apex of the coronoid process of mandible. Okay, so as you can see, the anterior as well as the posterior fibers, they all are converging and then they are inserted into the apex of the coronoid process and the medial surface or the inner surface of the coronoid process of mandible. Also, they are inserted into the anterior surface of the ramus of mandible up to the third molar teeth. Okay, so what you will write? All fibers converge and insert into the apex and medial, also the inner surface of the coronoid process and anterior border of ramus of mandible up to third molar teeth. I hope it's clear. Next, coming to the nerve supply. So it is very easy. The muscle name is temporalis, so the nerve name is temporal. Okay, so two deep temporal branches from the anterior division of mandibular nerve. Sorry, the space was very less, so I had to write it like this. So two deep temporal branches from anterior division of the mandibular nerve. Okay, now coming to the action. What is the point of studying all these? So what action does it perform? Okay, so similar to masseter, it is also an elevator muscle. So how it works? It elevates the mandible. Means suppose I'll show you. This is a condition of open mouth. Okay, so the temporalis fibers are something like this. Okay, okay. See, so temporalis fiber, what you will do? They are in a extended state. Now they will contract. How they will? They will contract. They will contract like this, and it will pull the mandible up. It will help in closing of the mouth. Okay, like this. Okay, so the direction is something like this. So this is the origin, this is the insertion. So it will pull up like this. It will contract. In case this is open, it will pull up and contract and pull up the mandible. That will elevate the mandible or close the mouth. It also helps in retracting the protruded mandible. So masseter helped in protruding the mandible, protrusion of the mandible. This temporalis helps in retraction of the protruded mandible. Also it helps in side to side grinding movement. Okay, you need to write all these 3 points. So coming to medial pterygoid, first is the structure. Okay, so first see this diagram. If you want, you can take the screenshot of this diagram because it is not present in your BDC. Okay, so if you want, you can take the screenshot of this page. I'll just move myself. Okay, now coming to the diagram. Okay, so we have cut the zygomatic process. You can see cut sections. Okay, zygomatic process. We have cut the mandible also. This is the left out part of the condylar process, and coronoid process portion has been removed completely. Okay, this is the cut out portion of the mandible, right? Now we will visualize, because all the structures related to the medial pterygoid are inside the mandible, okay, on the medial aspect. So I have cut the mandible, right? Now see, this blue one is called the sphenomandibular ligament. Okay, I forgot to mark it. This is sphenomandibular ligament. Okay, now this is tensor veli palatini. Okay, this green one is levator veli palatini. Okay, now the main focus or the topic of current discussion is the medial pterygoids. Now this orange and red one are the medial pterygoids. So this one is inside. You can see this one is inside, the orange one. That is the deep head of medial pterygoid. Okay, this one is outside. So this one is the superficial, means which is present on the outer side. Relative to both of them, we are talking about these two. So this is present inside to this one. So this one is the deep head, this one is the superficial head of medial pterygoid. Okay, this bone is the lateral pterygoid plate. Okay, this is the lateral pterygoid plate. Okay, and this portion is the above the third molar is the maxillary tuberosity. Okay, these are the basic structures. Now we will describe. Okay, first coming to the structure. So as you can see, structure, it is quadrilateral in shape. Okay, has two heads, smaller superficial head and the large deep head. Okay, this is the first point. Second, coming to the fibers. Fibers are running downwards, backwards and laterally. See, okay. Now coming to origin. So superficial fibers are originating from the maxillary tuberosity, right? Deep fibers are originating from the medial surface of lateral pterygoid plate. Please pay attention, students. Medial surface of lateral pterygoid plate. Okay, so this is the lateral pterygoid plate. The deep fibers are originating from inside of the lateral pterygoid plate. That is the medial surface of the lateral pterygoid plate. Since it is originating from the medial surface of the lateral pterygoid plate, that's why the muscle is named as medial pterygoid. Okay, please remember this muscle is named as medial pterygoid because it is originating from the medial surface of the lateral pterygoid plate. Okay, and associated surface of the pyramidal process of palatine bone. Okay, okay, one more point was there, this one, the two heads embrace a part of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle. Okay, this I'll explain when I draw the diagram of lateral pterygoid. So insertion will be on the roughened area on the medial surface of ramus and angle of mandible. See, this is the mandible, right? This is the mandible. Okay, this is the angle of mandible and ramus of mandible. So insertion is into the roughened area on the medial surface and angle of mandible. Okay, roughened area on the medial surface of ramus and angle of mandible. Okay, below the mandibular foramen and mylohyoid groove. So you can see here the sphenomandibular ligament is divided. Here is the actually the mandibular foramen and mandibular canal. Okay, so insertion is into the medial surface of the ramus and angle of mandible below and behind the mandibular foramen and mylohyoid groove. Okay, next is the nerve supply. So nerve supply, same, medial pterygoid is the name of the muscle, so nerve also named nerve to medial pterygoid, and which is a branch of the main trunk of mandibular nerve. Okay, actions, coming to actions, it is also an elevator muscle, I told you earlier only, so it elevates the mandible. Second point is it assists the lateral pterygoid in protruding the mandible, moving the mandible forward, right? Third point is very important, when medial and lateral pterygoid contract only on one side, this side if it will contract, the chin will move to the opposite side. Okay, and when this process will be coupled with the TMJ movements of the ligaments and structures of TMJ, it will produce the chewing, side by side chewing or grinding movement. Okay, this movement. Okay, अब इसका मीम मत बना देना, don't make a meme of this part. Okay, I hope you understand this part. Okay. Now coming to the lateral pterygoid muscle, right? So lateral pterygoid muscle is a key muscle of mastication. See, it's a key muscle of mastication. Now why it's a key muscle of mastication? Because it is the only muscle which depresses the mandible. The other three elevates the mandible. The other three are elevator muscles. Lateral pterygoid is the only depressor muscle, right? It is responsible for actively opening the mouth. Okay, that is why it's called the key muscle of mastication. The structure of lateral pterygoid is, it is short, thick, triangular muscle. See, it is very short and it is a thick muscle and triangular muscle. Okay, and like medial pterygoid, it also has upper and lower heads. The upper head is small, lower head is bigger. Okay, now there was one point in medial pterygoid, we told the two heads of medial pterygoid embrace a part of the lower head of lateral pterygoid. Remember, see, the two heads of medial pterygoid embrace a part of the lower head of the lateral pterygoid, means a part of the lower head of lateral pterygoid is placed between two heads of the medial pterygoid, just like this. Okay, see, just like this. See, okay, now coming back, origin, upper head and lower head. Upper head is originating from, simple, if you want to write in one line, it originates from the roof of the infratemporal fossa. Okay, this region is the infratemporal fossa, roof of the infratemporal fossa. We discussed infratemporal fossa while studying the temporalis muscle, the temporal fossa and the infratemporal fossa. Okay, so it originates, upper head originates from the roof of the infratemporal fossa. Okay, if you want to describe it a little more, according to Gray's anatomy, inferior surface of greater wing of sphenoid and the infratemporal crest, inferior surface of the greater wing of sphenoid and the infratemporal crest, right? Lower head, it arises from the lateral surface of lateral pterygoid process. Remember this, lateral surface of lateral pterygoid process. Now if we remember, in case of medial pterygoid, we studied that this head, this deep head originated from the medial surface of lateral pterygoid process. I'll show you one diagram just a small diagram. You have written down or taken a screenshot of this part, right? No, okay, I am erasing a part. So if you see, this is something you can call a sphenoid bone, structure of a sphenoid bone. So this is the lateral pterygoid process. These are the these are the lateral pterygoid plates. These are the medial pterygoid plates. Now, what we learned just now, the lower head originates from the lateral surface of lateral pterygoid process. So this is the lateral surface, okay. This is the midline. So this side is the medial surface, that side is the lateral surface. So lateral surface of lateral pterygoid plates. From here originates this, which muscle? The lower head of lateral pterygoid, okay. The deep head of medial pterygoid, as we studied earlier, deep head of medial pterygoid originates from the medial surface of lateral pterygoid plates, right? This is the medial pterygoid, this is the lateral pterygoid. That's why they are named like that. Medial pterygoid is called medial pterygoid because it originates from the medial surface of the lateral pterygoid plate. Lateral pterygoid is called lateral pterygoid because its lower head originates from the lateral surface of the lateral pterygoid process, okay. Coming to the fibers. Now the fibers run backwards and laterally and converge for insertion, okay. So as you can see in the diagram, the fibers are running backwards, laterally, okay. Laterally means they are running laterally, means towards the outer side. Means, for example, this is this diagram, for example, it is the mandible of the left side, okay. This is the left side, okay. So the fibers are running this, suppose these are the fibers, okay. These are the fibers. The fibers are running backwards, okay. First. Second is they are laterally running, laterally means like this, laterally towards the outer side, not towards medially. The fibers are running backwards and laterally, okay, means above the plane of the board, like this. Fibers are running backwards and laterally, and also they are converging for insertion, right? So the fibers are running backwards, laterally, and they converge for insertion. Just now explained, origin is medial to insertion. मतलब अगर ऐसे देखेंगे ये fibers है तो origin is अंदर है, origin towards the medial side and insertion towards the lateral side, okay. मतलब ये मेरा face है, for example, these are the fibers of my right side, for example. So fibers are placed somewhat like this, okay, somewhat like this. It means the origin is towards the medial side, insertion is towards the lateral side. You can see it is placed like this, okay. Origin is medial to insertion, insertion is lateral to origin, right? Hope you are getting the points, okay. कुछ भी नहीं समझ में, if you are not getting any point, please feel free to ask in Instagram also, in YouTube also, wherever you want, right? My DMs are always there, open, okay. Now coming to the insertion. So insertion, if you remember from mandible topic, pterygoid fovea is a depression present between the head and neck, near the neck of the condylar process of mandible. This is the pterygoid fovea, this depression, okay. So their fibers are converging and inserting into the pterygoid fovea on the anterior surface of neck of the condylar process of mandible, and also into the capsule of TMJ. So surrounding the TMJ there is a capsule, okay, capsule of TMJ. It will be discussed when we will discuss temporomandibular joint, okay. For now you remember that it is getting inserted into the pterygoid fovea on the neck of the mandible, condylar process of mandible, and also into the surrounding capsule of the temporomandibular joint, right? Next is insertion is posterolateral. Just now I told insertion is posterior to origin, and lateral to origin, okay, outside, lateral to origin, okay, and at a slightly higher level than origin. Actually I should have made the diagram slightly like this. It should have gone, the fiber should have gone slightly upward. So insertion is posterolateral and slightly above the origin. See my hand movement, posterolateral means out of this plane of the board, posterolateral and slightly above the origin. origin is down, insertion is up. Okay. Next is nerve supply. Again, nerve to lateral pterygoid, a branch of the nerve to lateral pterygoid, a branch of anterior division of the mandibular nerve. Okay. Actions, it is a depressor muscle, it is the only depressor muscle. Okay. It is indispensable for opening of the mouth, because without this muscle we cannot open the mouth. Okay. So depresses the mandible to open the mouth, protrudes the mandible, and also we studied in medial pterygoid that right lateral pterygoid moves the chin to the left side and vice versa, means left lateral pterygoid moves the chin to the right side. This combined movement of lateral and medial pterygoid along with the temporomandibular joint helps in grinding or side by side chewing movement, entire process of chewing movement. Okay, that's why it's called the muscles of mastication, because they help in the complete process of chewing. Okay, this finishes all the 4 muscles. Chalo, coming to clinical anatomy. So temporalis and masseter can be palpated by requesting the person to clench the teeth. This is clenching of teeth. If you clench your teeth, you can feel your masseter in the ramus portion and temporalis in the temporal fossa, in these 2 portions. By clenching the teeth, you can feel the temporalis and masseter. Similarly, medial and lateral pterygoid can be tested by asking the person to move the lower jaw from one side to other side. Okay. Okay. So blood supply in this region is through the maxillary artery. Okay, I'll mark it. Okay, maxillary artery. Middle meningeal artery is an important branch of maxillary artery, and damage to middle meningeal artery results in extradural hemorrhage. Okay. So with this, we finish our topic, muscles of mastication. If you have any doubts, please reach out to us on our Instagram or comment section in our YouTube also, and please like, comment, please drop. If you have any positive or negative feedback, please feel free to drop a comment. That will be very much appreciated from our side. Thank you. Have a good day. Keep studying. Meet you in the next video. Bye bye.